Khalid White. You're watching What's Going On TV. Khalid White. I'm a professor of African American Studies, Moja program coordinator at San Jose City College. Among other things, I'm a professor here, and kind of got my foot in the door in terms of education. Started off working with kids when I was in high school, Irvington High School in Fremont, California. Working with the YMCAs and after-school programs like that. Went on and graduated high school. Went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and continued working with youth. After-school programs and doing volunteer work with youth. And I said, hey man, I like this education thing. I like working with kids. I like working with black kids especially, because over my years as a youth, during my time, a lot of people kind of took the time out to work with me. And so I come from a family on both sides, a long line of educators. So education's kind of in my bloodstream, it's in the DNA. And so with that, went on from Morehouse, graduated sociology and what have you in 2002. When I got my master's degree in 2004 from Harvard University in education, continuing to work with youth there out in the Boston area, and so continue working with at-risk youth, impoverished youth, all the different little kind of tags we can put on them. A lot of black and Latino youth, man. I love working with young youth and young adults. Continue doing that. I'm currently still in school now, trying to get my doctorate in education with UC Davis. Hopefully, God willing, within another year and a half, I'll have wrapped that up. But in the interim, full-time professor here in African American Studies and the Moja program coordinator at San Jose City College.
All right. What are some of the missing pieces of black history you see in school today?
Oh man, well, missing pieces is we have really missed out on our own history. We've been told a lot of misinformation. We've been told a lot of falsehoods, and we've really seen it and heard it so much over the course of how many ever years. We've started to believe in a lot of the misinformation. The miseducation of the Negro. Dr. Woodson, Carter G. Woodson wrote that book in 1933. Here it is, 2012, and we're still highly miseducated, misinformed about ourselves, our past history, where we're going, and so it's a lot of negativity about us as blacks, black men in particular. We think that being black and acting black is some of the stereotypical ways that we've seen people act and behave. You got to be loud, got to be ghetto, got to be extra violent, all the different type of stuff that we've been fed. And so part of this idea of Black History Month, man, and Black history just in general, is learning some of the true knowledge on where we came from as far back as the African continent to coming to just being here in the States, and what we've been able to accomplish and achieve as a race, as individuals, as just Americans, as just people. It's far more than just the Dougie, just the windmill dunk. You know what I mean? We've contributed math, science, all the things that make a culture a culture. And as we sit here on the college campus, man, I did some research, some studying. It blew my mind. The first universities in the world were located on the African continent. And so, we got a lot of college students that come and say, man, man, a brother can't be good at math. A brother is supposed to be good at science and architecture and stuff. Well, who created science and architecture and math and college and algebra? That all came from Africa, man. So it's in our DNA. It's in our bloodstream. Greatness is in our, it's in us.
Right,
and so, as a black man's a natural born leader, man. First to do a number of things on this earth. And so that's in our bloodstream. That's in our DNA. That's in our, got to be in our mind and in our hearts.
Right. As you know, I went to Grambling State University, which is a historically black college. Yeah. And you went to Morehouse, which is historically black also. What would you say to those who have a negative vibe on historically black colleges?
Oh man, anything black, all black, that's going to be negative. It's looked at as negative, looked at as something a little bit less than.
And me personally, I've seen black people talk down about the black colleges more than whites,
yeah, absolutely.
Or other races.
Absolutely. So it's some of that self-hate we've been taught. I don't want to go to school with all blacks, because the things I feel about blacks, man. The guys gonna hate, the girls gonna hate. It's that type of thing, that type of mentality. But so you get a little bit of that. I've seen a little bit of that, heard a little bit of that myself, and experienced some of it during the time I was there at the historical black colleges. But I will say this. regardless of all the negative stuff that you may or may not hear about the black colleges, they put out majority of your black dentists, your black lawyers, your black politicians, your black doctors, your black leaders, your scientists, all these different things that the movers and shakers, and so, man, I'm a fan of the historically black colleges. I'm a fan of the community colleges here in California because that's where the bulk of us is as far as students is concerned. So, one of the goals that I have here is to try and hook up some type of coordinate or hook on with some existing black college tours so we can kind of see the the black colleges from a first person perspective. I was fortunate to go on a black college tour when I was 17, man, and it sold me. I was sold right there. I saw all these brothers and sisters going to school, enjoying themselves still, but it was an all black environment. Everybody from the janitor to the president is black at the historically black colleges, man. It's just a overall empowering thing. And looking back on it, man, that was one of the best choices, best decisions that I could have made was to attend a historically black college. It opened so many doors.
All right. Last but not least, what would be your words of advice for those African American students who want to attend Harvard and schools like that, but they constantly discouraged by other people?
Right. As far as attending, some of your prestigious Ivy League or private schools, what I've seen since I graduated, from Harvard in '04, it's been a few years. What's that, 8 years now? Ooh. Oh man. They have a lot of different avenues and outlets for students who are black or Latino or Asian or whatever the case may be, who don't come from wealthy backgrounds, whatever. If you can cut it academically, they have the money to come get you financially. So what I would suggest, particularly to African American students, is apply to your black colleges, apply to your Ivy Leagues. If you have the grades, go ahead and aim high. Don't limit yourself. Let them tell you no, as opposed to you saying, no, I can't get in, they're not accepting brothers up there, they're not accepting sisters up there. Let them tell you that. Go ahead and apply, because I thought the same thing when I was applying for grad school. There's no way that they would accept me. Lo and behold, they called me one night and accepted me, and it's been all ever since. And so if I had let that kind of self-doubt and what I heard other people saying as far as why are you applying there, if I let that just rule me, I wouldn't have gone.
Right,
so
right.
I got the chance to go, man. It was a tough experience. Don't get it twisted. It was difficult, but it's doable, and so I'm living proof that it can happen. And I went when I was 22, 23, so I was a young dude, So it was a good experience looking back over it. It was tough. It was difficult. It stretched me as a man, as a adult, but it was worth it in the end. And I can tell you this: nobody's turned me down from a job application. When they see that on the resume, that opens up a lot of eyes and ears. And whoa, okay, So that'll get you some looks, if nothing else. All right. So some books I could recommend, just a few from my shelf. They say if you want to keep some information from a black person, put it in a book. So these books got a whole ton of information about kind of our true history, our true legacy, our true past, in addition to some things currently that we got going. You can't have African American studies without this book, From Slavery to Freedom by John Hope Franklin. That was one of the seminal texts for African American history. Also, I don't have the book with me, but Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett. Those two, in terms of African American history and our true history, talking about from Africa to the Americas, check them out. Slavery to Freedom, John Hope Franklin, and Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett. You want a little controversy? The Willie Lynch letter, The Makings of a Slave. I kind of compare and contrast that with what Malcolm X is talking about here, Malcolm X on Afro-American Unity. This is a collection of speeches of his right before his death in 1965. And this book was supposedly written, some debate on whether it was written or not, whether Willie Lynch really existed. But the information in here is still relevant, and I think this came out of somewhere in the 1700s supposedly. But I kind of compare and contrast these in my class. The class that you were in, I kind of did a little bit of that. Africanisms in American Culture by Holloway, how we still retain some of our African roots, from the foods we eat to the way we wear our hair to some of the routine rituals that we still do, came directly from the African continent, West Africa, you know, where we descend from, and how that's still connected even to this day. Even whites, we have them kind of, you know, all Americans still kind of use some of these African-based things that we brought with us in the diaspora and slave trade. Rogers, 100 amazing facts about the Negro with complete proof. Open your eyes up and wake your game up with this. All right. Another one to wake you up, Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, talking about how the Egyptians created the basis and the foundation of math and science and medicine, and how the Greeks and Romans came into Egypt, studied from Africans, took it back to Greece and Rome, talking about, hey, look what I created, right? So we also oftentimes give them, you know, the credit, the Europeans, but you know, we learn Eurocentric history, European-based history. This will wake you up a little bit too. Stolen Legacy. Okay, Egyptians aren't African people. Karanga's Introduction to Black Study. This is deep. Alana Karanga's the founder of Kwanzaa, and the man gets really deep. You know, also a professor himself down there. I want to say at Long Beach State. Introduction to Black Studies by Karanga. Again by J.A. Rogers. Africa's Gifts to America. It'll wake you up as well. Some things that we've given and contributing. So in regards to Black History Month is about celebrating the cultural accomplishments and achievements, things that people of the African race, or people, excuse me, from the African continent, descendants of the African continent have given to the world. You know, I know it's primarily an African American celebration, but we're talking about blacks throughout the world have contributed numerous things. Everything from, you know, math and science in the university, all the way down to things like the golf tee, the traffic light, the elevator, the folding chair, stuff we take for granted like the remote control. Were black creations, black inventions. The super soaker water gun, the blimp, fire extinguisher, the fire escape ladder, things of that nature. And you know, since we're in a capitalistic society, how to get your money game up, you know, Black Enterprise is something that I often refer to and really enjoy reading. That's my favorite magazine. You know, ESPN magazine is a great magazine too. But I love Black Enterprise. So, you know, just in terms back to Black History Month, we celebrate in February. Oftentimes that is looked at as something that whites gave us, the shortest month, but it's really started out in February, second week of February, as a celebration of the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and also Frederick Douglass. So it started out as a week in 1926, and it was celebrated as Negro History Week. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, created Negro History Week, founded Negro History Week in 1926. In 1976, it was expanded to Black History Month. We got the whole month of February. So it was something, February for a reason. It was put in February, you know, for the celebration of the birthdays, and then expanded to a month. And, you know, it's just about our cultural accomplishments, achievements, to celebrate ourselves, to give a positive light on the things that we've, you know, accomplished and created and invented and offered to the remainder of the world.